Hey, what's up? Hello! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know who I am, I'm Aubrey Lene, and I talk about all sorts of things and do all sorts of random videos. But today we're doing a mid-year, a little over mid-year reading roundup of what I've read so far in 2024. If you watched my last video, which was my room tour, it was my first video I filmed on the camera I got. However, that camera just failed to block out my annoying AC, and you're still able to hear the annoying AC in this video. However, I'm filming on my phone because I noticed it's a little bit better. But we're just gonna chat about the books I've read this year. This year, it was my goal to read 24 books. We're not doing too well. Okay, so last year, 2023, I read 15 books. So it was my goal this year to read 24 books, which is 2 books a month. However, at the end of 2023, I read Iron Flame, which is the second book in the Fourth Wing series when it first came out. And I hit the biggest reading slump after reading that because I was just so aghast after finishing that book. If you guys haven't read the Fourth Wing series, there's only 2 books out yet so far. There's gonna be 5. The next one comes out in January, I believe. It's either January or March. But I have a lot of books on my TBR. That's my TBR for college. It's on a little cart. But I wanted to talk about what I've read so far this year and my thoughts and how I got out of my reading slump and my ratings of all the books I read. So let's get started. I guess I can also break down how I rank books. 1 star is literally terrible, cannot stand it. I will talk about how much I can't stand it. Number 2, very forgettable. I definitely forgot the plot. Or 2 stars. 3 stars, yeah, it was good. It was good. I'd probably recommend it depending on if you'd enjoyed that topic. 4 was yeah, I really vibed with this book. I probably would pick it up again. I think about it a lot. And 5 stars is just this is amazing. I need to tell everyone I know about it. The first book I read this year was Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I love Ali Hazelwood's books. This one is actually probably one of my favorites. This was her first young adult fiction, young adult romance, and I really like it. I like the chess plot line. One of my favorite TV shows is Queen's Gambit, so I really enjoyed this book. It wasn't the romance was the main plot of the story, which I really enjoyed, so I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. It's super easy, light read. I think I read it in a week, super fast. So if you're looking for a quick read, Ali Hazelwood is always a good one for that. Next, I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry. She's probably one of my favorite authors right now, every other young adult female in the world. Happy Place is, I remember when this first came out because my friend Natalie loves Emily Henry and I work at a retail store and I saw it on the shelf and I sent it to her. But I ended up getting it when I started reading Emily Henry. So I have this one and Funny Story in hardcover and then the other one's in paperback. I really enjoyed it. I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. There was nothing in it that was the most this is the most riveting book I've ever read, but it was fun. I love a good summer read, especially because I read this in March, April, so I was gearing up for the summer. But I don't remember the main character's name. Harriet and Wynne. And the plot, I don't know. It was an enjoyable book. I'd say, yeah, go read it. You'd probably enjoy it. But it's not a book where I feel I'm going to be picking it up again anytime soon. And I haven't really thought about it since I finished it. So, yeah. Next, I read Funny Story by Emily Henry. This came out this year. I went to Barnes & Noble to pick it up, I think on release day. I love the lemons, or what are they, oranges? Oh, they are oranges because that's a big thing. They're oranges on the side and the Crocs, just everything. It's so cute. This is my favorite Emily Henry book, which I know is a hot take. A lot of people love book lovers, but Funny Story just did it for me. The characters were so lovable. The plot was really fun. I know it's from a unique plot. There's definitely other books where ex-fiancés and roommates and all that stuff, but the subplots are really what made the story for me, especially just her working at the library and all of that. I really enjoyed. I almost just mixed it up with book lovers for a second. But the emotional aspect of it, I think the emotions that the characters feel was really well approached and it wasn't unrealistic in any way. So this is my favorite Emily Henry book. She just announced her 6th book, her 6th romance book. So I'm so excited for that one to come out next year. you'll kind of see now I got into an Emily Henry Ali Hazelwood blip, and again I was in a book slump, and these authors are super easy for me to read. Okay, next I read Beach Read. Beach Read, I really enjoyed the subplots. I did rate it 4 stars. It was really enjoyable, really good, probably second to Funny Story in my mind with Emily Henry's books. I just liked how the two main characters like had a feud, and you could slowly see the romance growing, because I feel like a lot of romance books I'm reading these days, it goes from 0 to 100 with like them hating each other to them liking each other, which I don't really rock with. So yeah, I really enjoyed Beach Read. Okay, next is a controversial hot take. I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and one thing about me is I love Twilight. Like on that shelf, you can even see it right there. I have Twilight and Midnight Sun. I can quote the movies. I read the whole series in a week in like the 7th grade. I've been thinking about rereading them so much recently. I love Twilight, so I was like, I'm going to love Bride. So I ended up getting Bride. My friend Natalie read it. She was like, yeah, it was good. The main character is a vampire. Her love interest is a werewolf. She has an arranged marriage to get married to a werewolf. And I was like, okay, like I'm not against fantasy romance. However, I hated this book. It was very similar to my feelings on It Ends With Us, which if you've seen my cleaning out my bookshelf video, I talk about that a bit. I enjoyed it up until the middle point, and then I honestly felt like I was reading some like weird fan fiction. A lot of the scenes made me really uncomfortable. The characters weren't really fleshed out in my opinion. Again, it went from like 0 to 100 with them liking each other. There was a lot of lore that I felt like could have been explained more, especially when you're world building. It was very short for what it was, but it was honestly kind of a pain to finish. I rated it 1.5 stars. And I love Ali Hazelwood, so that says a lot. However, this is the book that pulled me out of my book slump, because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to read a good book now, because what was that? So next I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I read this kind of near the start of the summer pretty quickly, and I give it 5 stars. I loved this book. The storyline, so fun. The way that the writing was, like how it went from her writing her paper to just like third person narrative, and I'm really not a big third person girl, but the way it was written, it honestly didn't even feel like it was focused third person. I think that's what it's called. So I really enjoyed this book, and then after I read it, it was my goal to finish the series before the TV show came out near the end of summer. So I loved Good Girl's Guide to Murder, 5 stars. Go read it if you haven't. It doesn't even matter your age. Like I feel like it's more of a like late middle school, early high school read. However, I'm in college and I enjoyed it, so say what you say. And also I'm like really phasing out of reading books about high schoolers. It's just not my forte anymore. I think it's because I'm like, yeah, I'm out of high school. I don't want to read about high schoolers. So yeah, I really enjoyed Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So next I read Good Girl Bad Blood, which is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. This one I rated 4 stars. I didn't find it as enjoyable as the first one. The plot was okay. The stakes really weren't high until the end, and I honestly felt like I was dragging my feet to get through a lot of the book, but in the progression of the storyline, loved it. Perfect. Holly Jackson, chef's kiss. Like, good job, queen. Love it. Next, I read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. 3rd book in the series. So I binge read this series. This is the final book, and oh my gosh. So this is a 5 star. 5 star, easy peasy. Probably the best book in the series, and everybody was telling me that leading up to it. And holy cow, such a takeaway from like the first and second book, such a different direction, so much like darker. And it's like, the thing is, I went and watched the series, the TV show, right after I finished this book, and I was just like begging the main character Pip the entire time. I was like, don't make that decision, please, don't do that, because it all comes back in this book. Things that were mentioned briefly in the first and second book come back in full swing. So like, make sure you really pay attention to the first and second book, because oh my gosh, so good. I was so happy. I finished this on the plane back to college, and I just could not stop talking about it. Okay, Next, I read Lessons in Chemistry. I also read this book because I knew I wanted to watch the series because I was getting a lot of clips from it on Facebook, and I was like, looks interesting. So at the beginning of the summer, I got it for super cheap at like a book reselling store. And actually at the beginning of the summer, I was like, what book should I read? And I was recommended Lessons in Chemistry. I got through like 2 chapters and then I picked up Good Girl's Guide, which then I locked in on. So I was like, okay, I'll actually read Lessons in Chemistry. It took me a lot longer than I wanted it to read it, and I got super busy at school, so it's nice that I got through it in about a month, a little less. But at some points it was really dragging and I was really waiting for a lot to happen. However, I have never really read literary fiction before, so this is kind of my like dipping my toe in the water of literary fiction, and it was also historical fiction because it happened in the 50s. And I really liked it. I really enjoyed the characters. The one thing I didn't really love about this book was that the biggest plot twist was near the beginning of the book, and then I was waiting for something that could top that later on, and that never happened. I finished Lessons in Chemistry 2 weekends ago, and then I binge watched the TV show, and the TV show is a really far takeaway from the book. Like, if you've watched the TV show and haven't read the book, I really recommend reading the book because it's so different. A lot of the characters are completely changed in the show, which is common, but I'm shocked at how much it was because Good Girl's Guide TV show, while it was good, also changed a lot, but the characters were still the same people. Lessons in Chemistry, I feel like they were very different people than how the author had wrote them, which was really interesting, and I don't know if I loved it or not. It is currently September 12th, and this is my 10th book of the year. I'm on my 11th right now, so I am almost like halfway to my reading goal. I don't think I'm gonna get 24, but last year I read 15, so I'm hoping to match that in the next few months. But I read Killjoy, which is also by Holly Jackson. It is a Good Girl's Guide novella, so it's real short, and it's actually a prequel to the first book. So there's a lot of things in here that are elusive to the rest of the series, like character relationships, and like you see tensities between certain friends that you'll notice later on in the series. So honestly, if you haven't read any of Good Girl's Guide, you could read this first and then instantly pick up Good Girl's Guide to Murder, or read the whole series and then read Killjoy. But it was a 3-star book for me. It was good, but I really wouldn't be like, go read Killjoy unless you've read Good Girl's Guide or unless you're planning to read Good Girl's Guide, because it kind of just flushes out characters a little bit more, but you don't necessarily need it to love the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I'm really enjoying reading like cozy fall reads now that it's getting colder out. Like, I'm wearing a sweater today. Love. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, just kind of recapping what I've been reading this year. Realistically, I know a lot of other booktubers can like sit down and read a whole book in a day because like that's their job, and then to talk about it, that is their job. For me, I'm just a college student trying to get by every day. So this is my realistic of what I've read this year. Only 10 books because I am just a girl and I have a job and I go to school. But yeah, I love you guys so much. I hope you're subscribed. If you're not, you should subscribe because then maybe Book of the Month will sponsor me. And give this video a like for a kiss. And I will see you all in the next one. Smooches.